A mutation is a change in a DNA base or a chromosome. There are many types of mutation. Mutations are changes that occur in the DNA of some individual. An example of a mutation is albinism. Albino animals lack the ability to produce pigments because of a mutation.
The transmission of genes from one generation to the next requires the replication of DNA. This is usually a very perfect process. Occasionally, though, there will be some sort of an error, and the sequence that comes out will be slightly different. And that's essentially what mutation is.
All sorts of physical and chemical factors can bring about change in the DNA sequence.
There are many different kinds of mutation. The most important kind is perhaps point mutations. So just a single site along the DNA is changed from one letter to another. Other kinds of mutation include deletions, insertions, translocations. So this means that whole chunks of DNA are moved around and may be reversed. Mutations are very well studied in Drosophila. So this is a model organism of fly that's quite well studied. In that species, there are many examples of eye color change or wing shape change, this sort of thing. Another classic set of examples is antibiotic resistance in bacteria. Bacteria are very well studied in this regard, and we now know the mechanisms of resistance for many antibiotics.
A mutation can be neutral, deleterious, lethal, or advantageous.
If a mutation is deleterious, it will hinder the ability of the organism to survive and reproduce. Similar for lethal, except that in that case, the organism can't survive at all. If a mutation is neutral, this means that it has no effect on its ability to survive or reproduce. If a mutation is advantageous, that means that it confers a bonus for its survival, so its fitness is elevated.
The point about mutations is that in each organism there are countless mutations. The crucial thing to remember is that the number of neutral mutations far outnumbers the deleterious, lethal, or advantageous mutations in any single organism. In practical terms, what this means is that every entity, every organism is an experiment carried out by nature.
A mutation is the ultimate source of variation. Without mutation, you don't have variation. Without variation, you can't have evolution. So evolution needs mutation. Now, most mutations will end up being simply neutral or only slightly deleterious. And so it's only the occasional mutation that will lead to adaptive change. But that's enough to drive evolution in the long run. So in terms of these counters that we were talking about before, drift has the role of eliminating variation, which is the opposite of mutation, really. So if drift alone is operating, a population will end up being monomorphic, meaning all counters will be, say, green. In order for variation to be reintroduced, we need mutation. So you can imagine mutation as production of a single red counter in a population of green ones. And over the following generations, there is some chance that the red mutant will increase in frequency in the population. Most of the time, it will simply go extinct, but because mutation is an ongoing process, you'll have these new red variants coming in, and occasionally one will enter the population reaching high frequencies.
Mutation is a mechanism by which alternative genes are introduced into the population. Mutation acts in opposition to genetic drift by increasing variation.